Alright guys, welcome back to another one. One of you guys asked for a 12 gauge, 2 3/4 inch steel shot load with BBs, so that's what we're doing. I haven't loaded many of these, it's been a while, but that's okay. I went back and looked at my notes, found the load I used, and we'll load one up for you. If you hear a noise in the background, that's just the refrigerator, so ignore it. That low humming noise, that's what I'm talking about. So if you guys can actually hear that, I apologize. I'm not going to unplug the refrigerator. So this one's falling in line with the cheap 10 gauge steel shot plinking loads I did. Light on powder, cheap steel shot, cheap TPS wads from Ballistic Products. They're relatively cheap. Cheap Yoki Haul, this load is inexpensive, but this one is higher velocity than the 10 excuse me. It's higher velocity than the 10 gauges load, but it's a lot less shot. So powder charge is, what did I do with it? There it is. 23 grains of long shot. You could bump it up to 25.5 if you want to. This load is running 1310 FPS. The PSI is 11,300, excuse me. Just sticking to 23 grains today. 26. Oops. 23, there we go. Double check that. 23. Now if you want closer to 1400 FPS, use 25.5 like I said a second ago, but that one is pushing 12,000 PSI, which is fine. If you got a modern shotgun, which if you're shooting steel shot, you should be using modern guns, it can handle the PSI. 3.5 inch 12 gauge goes above and beyond 14,000 PSI for top end loads, which I recommend staying away from, especially if you got an 835. If you take one of these Shadot or Yoki Hauls and run a high pressure load like that through the 835, you will see pressure signs. Not pressure signs, I should say. It's what we call the Mossberg marks. It's due to the large firing pinhole. The primer will actually flow back into the firing pinhole, and the brass, the rim especially, will deform a little bit. But I've been told by several people I trust, Wade Rush, that that's not really signs of overpressure. It's just what he calls, and other people call, the Mossberg marks. Just something to make note of. This load right here is good to go. Pressure is high for a 2 3/4 inch load, but it is still shot, and there's really no issues with it. The wad, TPS, 2 3/4 inch 12 gauge wad. This one's unslit. To slit it, I should have grabbed this out of here. We're using Gary Caskey's wad slitter. Check this out. Unslit wad, this is all you have to do. I have it set for a 4-pedal, 3/4 cut. That's it. That's all the longer it takes. And you have 4 pedals. Oops, dropped it. And a 3/4 cut with a slit. I know it's hard to see, guys. That's the way I like my full-length wads, is 4-pedal and 3/4 cut. Gary makes some really high-quality wad slitters. If you guys want one, I'll leave his information down in the description. He's on Facebook. If you want a wad slitter, just contact him. Tell him I sent you, and he'll hook you up. He makes them now in 10 gauge by request, 12, 16, and 20. He also has tampers, to seat your wad in by hand. I believe that's mostly for once fired hauls. He makes haul trimmers. Just a lot of really useful stuff. If you guys want to know anything else, contact him on Facebook. Again, I'll leave his information in the description. We need a little bit of fiber cushion wad. You could also use a nitro card here, but I'm just using a fiber cushion wad because I have it just sitting here. Oops. Again, should have had this sitting out already, but I didn't. Just enough to make the bottom flat, which you don't really need to be, but also to give a little bit of cushion to this load right here. Set to ounces. 1 ounce of whatever size steel shot you want. Using Crossman copper plated BBs. These are 177 caliber, not true BB. It's B.5 technically. From Walmart. They're $8. And it's 6,000 BBs. I overfilled it. See how much it weighs. 1 3/8 ounces. That's too much. 7/8 ounce. That's too little. One more, and there we go. 1 ounce even. Shake that down, and every pellet is inside of the shot cup. It's a perfect load, ready to fold crimp. You can go an 8 or a 6 with this load right here. It really don't matter. I prefer 6-point crimp because I'm mostly a buckshot loader. I do load slugs too, and target loads in pretty much every gauge except for 20 and 12. Very, very nice pre-crimp. That almost don't look real. And like I mentioned in the 10 gauge video, I've started crimping it and then lifting up, turning, crimp, lift, turn, crimp again, and that just gives you really nice crimps. Really seats the crimp memory too. You don't need to do this, but I do. There you go. It's caved in just a little bit, got a tiny hole. Could have used a little bit more fiber cushion wad, but as it sits right now, it's a very good load. Now, since you would be taking this waterfowl hunting, best not to leave that hole in it. So what you could do here is way to rush this trick, grab you some clear nail polish, seal that hole up right there, or you could just open it back up with the screwdriver, add a little bit more fiber cushion wad, and then recrimp it, which is actually what I'm going to do. It's very simple. See that hole right there? I know the lighting's awful. Could use a screwdriver. I'm using needle nose pliers right in the center of the crimp and just pry it back up. Very simple. There we go. Gonna add in about the same amount I put in before. I guess I got to talking and didn't realize how little I put in. Add your shot back in. It is still all within the shot cup. That's excellent. Much better. You guys hear the spring in this thing? That's better than a factory crimp. I'll show you in just a second. Anyway, the spring in this thing. I saw on eBay this seller is selling these piston systems to replace the spring, and it makes it totally silent. Whenever you're using the press, hear that? It makes that totally silent. It ditches the spring for a piston system. They're not very expensive either, if you guys want to pick one of those up. Let me turn the camera around. I'll give you a view of this crimp right here and the hull overall. Now tell me that don't look factory. Got a nice deep set crimp. Little bit of a pinhole left in there, but Again, clear nail polish will solve that. Just overall a very, very nice looking crimp. If you aren't doing the, you know, multiple pulls down and spinning the hull around like this, I highly recommend doing it. It just gives you a much nicer looking shells, if it would focus. Well guys, there's a pretty cheap, easy to put together 12 gauge 1 ounce steel shot load in a 2 3/4 inch hull with a TPS wad. Similar to the 10 gauges, but a lot less payload. More velocity though, which is a plus. Well, thank you guys for watching. Like the video, please subscribe. We really appreciate that. Almost at 700 now. And I didn't think I would get there for a long time yet to come. But anyway, yeah, please subscribe and like the video. Share it with whoever you want to share it with. If you got any questions or comments or anything, leave it in the comment section below, and we'll get back to you. And we'll see you in the next one.